I myself had been guilty at one point of looking at someone, even subconsciously, and saying, I know her, she's been on welfare forever and she's just sitting around having more. I've been guilty of saying that. And I think by me going through this again, it's like an eye-opener, almost like karma. You have to see it and live it, and I take it back.
And now that I'm in that situation, it's even worse. Like, how did I get here?
It would actually be nice for people, who really needed the help, who came in there, to feel like they're being helped.
If you look at Connecticut's responsiveness of the caseload to the recession, the story is really not a very good one.
I haven't heard the recent statistics on how many cases they're dealing with per worker, but I know at one point they were up to approximately 1,500 cases per worker. That's insane.
If you get them a high school diploma and some college, that's not even an associate's degree, some college, they will earn an additional $500,000 in their lifetime.
They were told that they needed to abandon the efforts that they had made to enroll in a college course, take up some sort of training that would allow for their not only earning potential to increase, but also their skills to be improved so that they could get a better paying job.
I would love to have a job training that would lead to a job.
Are we driven more by providing services to people, not results? Should we rethink the way that we do this business?
Washington says, here's your money for welfare. Each state has the right to determine what welfare laws that they impose. Connecticut has one of the toughest welfare reform policies in place.
For most of the state, for a family of three, the family will get on cash assistance $576 a month. That is an increase from $543, which is what they would have gotten in 1997. It's simply not enough to live on. For the first 21 to 33 months, you can couple that with earned income. After that, if you're making any significant amount of earned income, you're going to lose that cash assistance.
When the Connecticut program was established, as a result of welfare reform federally, there was a jobs first focus. And all of the requirements were with the idea that people would actually go into the job market. It was short term and probably even short-sighted, because when the economy began to take a turn, individuals did not have the kind of access to employment opportunities that they had at the beginning. Secondly, there was not an awful lot of attention paid to career development.
When you just focus on getting people out of welfare without focusing on getting people out of poverty, you still end up with people with the same problem. They're still on poverty. They still need other forms of assistance, be it Medicaid or food stamps. You're still creating people who are not self-sufficient.
And we spend a disproportionate amount of monies on, pregnancy prevention and sort of reactive programming, instead of providing really solvent answers that would bolster communities and that would empower people to rise out of poverty.
You go in there and you feel horrible. You don't know what you're applying for. You don't know what's available, and they're not going to tell you. You're supposed to know the system, they say. They're not very sensitive to what's going on. I explain to them that I have a handicapped child, and I'm not sure as to what's going on or where to go for different programs and rental assistance and things like that. And they tell you, well, this is your child. You have to figure this out yourself. There was a program that allowed me to stay home with my daughter. The downside of it is that I couldn't qualify for any job training programs. Once you're on that program with a handicapped child, that's it, you're home. I don't want to be on TANF forever, so I want to change my career. And they said, well, you're on the program because you have a handicapped child, so no, you can't. The career I wanted to change into was nursing. It's more profitable and it's less hours. You can do a few longer shifts during the week and you're done. The housing projects and things like that have handicapped equipped apartments, but to live in an actual handicapped disabled building, which there are a lot of apartments available, your child has to be an adult because the person who signs the lease has to be the one with the disability. Around New Haven, it's very expensive to find a place. I'm getting nervous. My time is almost up, and I don't know exactly what to do because I do not want to go into another shelter. You can't focus on anything if you have nowhere to go. Housing, and just make sure there's a meal on the table, a part-time job, and the rest I can focus on for school. That's basically all I needed, and I can be off the system.
People really feel like they're trapped. They feel like, and now it makes the state, the system looks like it's the bad guy. It's the monster, and here we are, the people, and it's eating us up. Every time we try to get away from the monster, it sucks us back in. And that's a bad rap the state has to take, and it's also a bad feeling that people have to feel that they're being sucked back in.
I don't think a training can help me. And yeah, I just finished going for my GED, and I'm waiting for the results. But I think I need to, go to college. And, I personally want to take up business and open up my own business.
What you need to have is the range of possibilities for people so people get to go down the path that will work best for them. So that for people who are motivated, who have the skills, who have the educational sort of background, who want to pursue either longer-term education or short-term training, that they're really able to do that. I think one of the huge failures of our TANF system is that we have put this artificial barrier to say that if you're on TANF, you cannot do what we're encouraging everybody else to do, which is to build your skills.
Divorce will make you do crazy things. I got divorced and I did 4 years from 1998 to 2002. And yes, I was there when they bombed the World Trade. We had actually just pulled out. We were supposed to go on like a week cruise, and we ended up being out for almost a month behind what happened at 9/11. So that was a lot. And when I came back out into the civilian world, I just knew I was going to have to get a job, and I knew I was going to have to be able to support myself. Then I got hired at AT&T. The job itself wasn't bad. It was just the time restraints they put you on. Too much stress. Same way I'm crying now, I would go reach for the door to walk into the building, and I burst out into tears. So my doctor said, I really don't think this is the job for you. And I pursued phlebotomy. I went to school for that, and I actually broke down during the clinical part. A little girl was getting her blood drawn, and I actually started crying with the little girl, and I said, maybe this isn't for me. I think I kind of rushed into a job. I didn't give myself time to really recoup from the 4 years, and like my first therapist said, she was like, I had so many different life changes that happened, like bam, 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 one behind each other. She was like, it's a wonder I haven't lost it before then, but, and that's where I am now, is just trying to get mentally back on track, and then I feel like once I do that, I can be a productive member of the workforce again. My mother was actually the one who talked me into going down to social services, because I had been supporting me and my son on my unemployment. And she was like, well, at least if you could get food stamps, that'll take a little bit off, you financially. And so that's what I did. I applied, and thankfully I got accepted. Then when I did my first recert with my new worker, he decided, and my income was the same, because like I said, I was on unemployment. So my income never changed, but my rent went up. So when I sent in my paperwork, I told him, my rent went up, but everything else was the same. He insisted on telling me that I had gotten an increase in my unemployment. I'm like, where? You look at the same unemployment that the first lady looked at. After that, things kind of went back to, now I don't talk to him now, which unfortunately I am going to have to talk to him because I was getting some assistance from the soldiers and sailors, but apparently they only give you 13 weeks, and my 13 weeks has expired. So now I'm really in a bind now where I need help. And I shouldn't feel scared or intimidated to talk to this man who's supposed to be there to help me. But I haven't called him because I just don't feel like dealing with the aggravation right now. But I know I'm going to have to because I need some extra help now for me and my son until I can get back on my feet. And that's where I stand right now. When you have to deal with trying to get help, when you've pretty much, you've paid into the system your whole life, you feel like when you need it, it should be there, but it's not. I mean, like I said, I've worked since before I was 16, and I'm 41 now, and I've only been out of work 2 years. So, I mean, I pretty much worked my whole life. And now that I need help, I feel like doors are getting slammed in my face left and right. And it's like, what do you do?
There needs to be a huge re-education with the staff there. There are workers who are sharp. They've been there. Some of them have been there for years. They have obtained their information and remember their information. But there are so many policies that for different programs, and being that workers are not assigned to just one program, they don't obtain all that information and all the policies for all the programs. So a lot of errors are made. You have cases that are being denied, and the information that the worker is giving these clients is false information. It's not policy.
A large number of people in Connecticut are living on food stamps alone. And it's hard, it's very difficult to even get the food stamps. So, from my perspective and from my colleagues' perspective, it's about, redefining what a safety net is.
To put people through weeks and months of training and have not be prepared to talk about the results that we're creating for people is no longer useful. It doesn't work. Clients are getting smarter, and they ought to have a voice.
The problem is Connecticut's program is much too rigid in terms of forcing people into one job, any job, get a job, any job. The solution is to be more flexible, to really work with people to identify what they need to get a good job, and then to get them the education, training, and supports that they need to acquire those skills.
Circumstances change in people's lives that cause them to need help, and they need to take that into consideration.
It can happen to anyone, and it doesn't matter. And don't be so quick to judge. You never know where that person came from. You never know how much education that person has. You never know what that person has to offer.
I'm passionate about it, and I'm passionate because I grew up, living on welfare. And my family, I still have family members who use TANF, and I see the struggle, firsthand, and it's hard not to be passionate when you see just how hard it is to make it on such little money.
We want to change the minds of the people who make the laws, and we are voices for people who otherwise would not ever even speak up for themselves. The system wants to hold us accountable, and we need to hold the system accountable.